All righty. Hello, everyone. We have people coming into the room, so we will get started in just a few moments. And welcome to this webinar. Hello, hello, hello. If you want to get this chat started, everyone, you can just drop your name in, or you can drop your name and the city that you're currently in the chat, just so we can find out where everyone is coming from. I see Michigan, Virginia. Oh, all the places coming so fast. Wisconsin, Fayetteville. Michigan, Tennessee, Arlington, Pennsylvania, Louisville, Mexico. Oh, wow. We're international. Awesome. All righty, well, we're going to get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introducing IM Version 360, a live Q&A with the IM authors. Thank you all so much for joining us today and for setting aside time today to be with us on the launch of IM Version 360, which is our latest IM curriculum upgrade. My name is Brandy Tyler, and I'm the Vice President of the Brand and Communications Department here at Illustrative Mathematics. At IM, we care about our community, and we love to use webinars to build and connect with our community members. There are educators, superintendents, families who are part of this community. Our employees are part of this community, and you are part of this community. We want to provide you with the resources, give you information you can use, and curate experiences that inspire, uplift, and encourage learners to know, use, and enjoy mathematics. And keeping in line with our larger ethos and mission, we want you to know that our webinars are interactive. We invite you to use the chat feature as much as you want. And also, if you have a burning question for us, please drop it in the Q&A section on the Zoom toolbar, which is different from the chat section. Make note of that. Our Illustrative Mathematics employees are in the audience today, all 83 of us. So we're in the room. That means if you happen to drop a question in the Q&A section, you will be getting a response directly from the moderators on our team. So we encourage you to engage with us and the other audience members using the chat feature. Say hi, let us know where you're from, what school district you're at. Make connections, make this webinar and this community your own. And I see folks are still coming in the chat. It is looking wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us. And with all that said, we have a lot to cover today. So you will be meeting our brilliant panel of math experts who I'm lucky enough to call my colleagues and coworkers. They are going to tell you about the features of the IM version 360 upgrade. Then we'll jump into a live Q&A session to get as many of those burning questions of yours answered as possible. You're going to want to stick around because we have an exciting new tool that we are debuting on this webinar, and you'll be able to say you saw it here first. And then we're going to introduce you to our IM certified partners. And we'd like to point out that this webinar has been made accessible through live American Sign Language and live captioning through our vendor, Deaf Services Unlimited. To gain access to captions, simply click on the live transcript icon on your Zoom screen menu and select Show Subtitles. Also, this session is being recorded, so we will provide the playback and email it to you within about 48 hours of this live webinar, so you can rewatch it or share it out with someone you think might benefit from watching it. Okay? And now, for the moment that we've all been waiting for, this is like a drum roll moment. To help frame today's discussion, we will now hear from the CEO and co-founder of Illustrative Mathematics, Bill McCallum. Okay, Bill.
Well, thanks for that drum roll, Brandy. I always find that funny. I wanted to just give you a very quick sort of introduction to IM360 before we get into the other panelists. IM360 is our largest curriculum upgrade, and it rests on what we call the IM classroom. At IM, we believe that if we want to change the lives of students, we need teachers implementing our curriculum, using our problem-based instructional model with integrity. Those teachers need professional learning, they need implementation support. They also need the support of school and district leaders who understand and support the systemic changes that are necessary. And finally, they need a community, families and communities that are engaged with and supporting their students' learning. And taken together, we call those four pillars the IM classroom. Now, the IM classroom is also a community of learners and of teachers and of and we think of ourselves as not teacher-centered, not student-centered, not math-centered. We think we are centered on the classroom community, which is represented here by a very familiar diagram, probably to some of you, the instructional triangle. Teachers, students, content interacting, students interacting with each other. And what I want to emphasize here is the arrows in this diagram are the important part, not the vertices. So this is the way we think of where we place our center around this entire triangle. I do want to tell you just a very high-level overview of some of the features, new features of IM K5 Math and IM 6.8 Math, or IM version 360. So the new K5 features, we've added some language learning goals. We've added some optional kindergarten number writing lessons, checkpoints, and end-of-unit assessment guidance, and then all sorts of revisions to the elements of the curriculum that you're already familiar with. In 6.8 came out after K5, and in 6.8, we are catching up with K5 in some regards, because the K5 authors had all sorts of innovations in their curriculum. So a lot of the new 6.8 features are things that were in K5, and we're trying to make it coherent experience across K through 8. So things like math language routines now embedded into the activities, guidance on building a math community, all of these unit level mathematical practice charts. And then again, with 6.8, we've done revisions of a lot of the existing elements of the curriculum. So, you know, when you go to the website, when you see more from the authors, you'll get more detail here, but that's just a sort of a high-level overview. I want to think a little bit about IM 360, 360 meaning a circle, because the way we are thinking of releasing this new curriculum along with the professional learning, with the support for administrators, with the support for families and communities, is creating ever-expanding circles of influence, starting with teachers. Teachers can change the lives of hundreds of students. Then the next circle is coaches who can change the lives of thousands of students by working with the teachers they work with. If you're a facilitator for professional learning aligned to IM, you can change the lives of tens of thousands of students. And if you're a PL provider, you can change the lives of hundreds of thousands of students with all your facilitators. But the people I really want to call out here is that last circle, the IM community, which is you. It's you all, and together, we and you can change the lives of millions of students. And so that's sort of IM 360 in a nutshell. I look forward to seeing people's comments and questions about it as we go through the rest of this webinar. And thank you, Brandon.
Bill, thank you so much. And let me just say, I am personally very excited to be part of this community and the important work that we are doing to change the lives of students. Bill, thank you. That was amazing. So next up, I am so happy to introduce our presenters to you all. The panel is comprised of IM employees from the Product Strategy, Content, and Design Department. And we have with us today, Dr. April Mouton, our Senior Director of Access, Content, and Equity. We have Sherelle C. McKnight, our Director of PK5 Content Development. And we have Ashley Black, our Director of 612 Content Development. They are their lovely faces. They are all off mute. They are going to give you all some information that you all been waiting on, and I am going to turn it over to Sherelle. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I'll jump in
Turn
for
over to
sure.
April. April.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you, Brandy. So as we dive in, we want you to, again, hear that message that Bill just reiterated, that this is a version update. You can still trust and be rest assured that version 360 is strong. It's built on the foundation of our strong K-12 curricula. It's aligned to those core tenets of who we are within IM and ensuring that students can know, use, and enjoy mathematics. The portion that we're going to share for the next couple of slides here, you also can find access to all the information that we're sharing on our specific website that's designed to give you any updates for IM 360. And so just like we all have cell phones and we all get notifications to update our cell phones, you can sometimes continue to work with that phone without doing those updates, or you have to be really strategic about deciding, are these updates, these features going to be important in how I engage and interact? And so while we have our amazing, some of our amazing writers here, like myself, Sherelle, and Ashley on the team, I also want you to know that we had a core team of writers that were a part of this development. We want to also reach out and thank our past writers and colleagues, the engineering team that you're going to be able to see some of their great work at the end, and definitely our senior leadership and executive leadership teams for the work that we've done. So with that, we're going to tell you 3 stories. And so our first big story that we want you to walk away with today is that IM version 360 is that version update. You're still going to see consistent problem-based lesson structure. You're going to have access to amazing instructional routines, and you're going to see where we've been intentional about embedding specialized support for multilingual learners and students with disabilities. As Bill mentioned, there are a couple of big things that are new across all curriculum from K-8 and will also be implemented in our 9-12 design. And those big 3 ideas I want to lead in on, one is around our instructional routines. We've been intentional about listening to the needs of our users and our educators. And so you'll see some changes and updates with the language. One we wanted to point out specifically is instead of seeing which one doesn't belong, you'll now see which 3 go together. Again, this was based on teacher feedback and really wanting to make sure that we focused on a routine that ensured that there was diversity within the classroom, that we were able to celebrate and agree on what students thought around associating the concept of belonging. You'll also see some updates to the 5 practices and ensuring that when they appear within the curricula, that there's clear and explicit connection to student thinking and lesson goals. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over now to Sherelle, who's going to dive into a little bit more detail around some of the new features and revisions within the K-5 curricula.
Thank you, April. Hey, everybody. So in K-5, the revisions includes revised modeling lessons, the audit of Black Line Masters, and then clear and consistent centers aligned to the lesson activities. The modeling lessons were revised to ensure that they match the format, style, and language that are used throughout the other lessons. And so just in making sure that we have that continuity in how they're going to look as you're preparing. They're also going to, they're now going to provide more opportunities for students to develop and those skills of mathematical modeling, working on MP4. In each K-5 unit, except the final unit, is going to also include optional modeling lessons. All Black Line Masters were audited to ensure necessity. When possible, we were able to take some of that content that was previously a Black Line Master and add it to the student workbook so that we could eliminate some of the Black Line Masters and have a little bit less photocopying for our K-5 teachers. And then and the centers were revised so that the center narratives, directions, and Black Line Masters are clear and consistent with the lesson activities in which they're introduced. And then you'll see some changes there as far as when it's the addressing or building. All right. We also have some new features, brand new. So we have our language learning goals, the optional kindergarten number writing lessons that Bill mentioned, and then the checkpoint and end of unit assessment guidance. Thank you. All right, so these language learning goals in K-5 were revised to be more similar to the learning goals in 612. And that's something that you'll hear Ashley say at 612, and I'll say at K-5, that we work to make more of the things K-12. Personally, just I know I because I am the K-5 director, I think very K-5, but thinking about our schoolhouses and our teachers and coaches that work K-5 buildings or K-8s or even K-12. So we want to have things as consistent as possible for you all. So our learning goals are, again, going to match closer to 612. They're now going to communicate the interdependence of the math content and math language. So a few important features to point out: the words and phrases in quotation marks are going to indicate the words and phrases that are important for students to hear and or say. Verbs, often that first verb is going to indicate the language function important for the lesson. And then the words in parentheses give more details on if it's a perceptive or productive demand. The language learning goals also include support for identifying the ways that vocabulary and or language demands are going to change over time. If you're looking, you'll see in this example, this indicates the understanding of areas students might have as a result of the lesson activities in lesson 2 of this grade 3 lesson. And then the goal of the following lesson shows a new understanding of area that students have as a result of the next lesson. So it's important to note that the language demands featured in the goal is primarily used to support teachers in identifying the important language demand of the lesson. It's not necessarily a language demand that students are expected to master or show mastery of in a traditional sense. And so when you're still working through those cool downs, it'll be related to the learning goal and the mathematical content of the learning goal and the section learning goals, but it may not assess all of the language demands that were articulated in the learning goals. Also brand new is the assessment guidance. So assessment guidance is going to focus on what can be clearly observed, and it uses asset-based language to focus on what students understand about particular math concepts and what they show they can do as it relates to procedural skills, fluency, and application. The guidance is also going to encourage reliance on the coherence of the math in the curriculum when considering how to address any unfinished learning. And the guidance focuses on ways to continue teaching grade level content and using existing structures to address that unfinished learning. So you'll see, as you can see on the screen, right, it's telling you before an upcoming lesson. Some of them will say, very specific, before you get to, unit 3, lesson 7, you'll want to have gone back and worked through some of these things. And the end of unit assessment guidance is, of course, going to follow the same in that it's what can clearly be observed. It's going to have that asset-based language, and it'll help you in determining, like, again, next unit supports. And so it'll say during the next number talks, or tell you, if you look at that last one, before unit 6, section D. And so as you're working through, you can trust the program and continue teaching grade level content, knowing that those supports are built in. This is coming back up, and you will have the chance to get extra practice before your for your students based on what you were able to view during their assessments.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherelle, for just being so detailed and showcasing some evidence for us to be able to go back and see where these changes are, and know again that when you access the website that we'll share again at the end, you'll be able to see some of these sample lessons so you can see where those changes and highlights have happened. The next big story that we want to share is that 6.8, most of the changes that you're seeing within 6.8, similar to PK5, is to increase the alignment within our K5 curricula. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ashley to the table so she can go through some of the new 6.8 enhancements and revisions.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'll beg your forgiveness a little bit if I'm clutching this cup of tea. It is allergy season here in Arizona, and I am fully affected by it, but I'm here. It's just my voice might be a little bit rough. I'm super excited to be able to share with y'all about the updates we've been doing to 6.8. As Bill noted earlier, some of this is in some ways catch-up work. 6.8 was the very first curriculum we wrote, and then we moved on to 9.12, and then K5. And now we're doing a broader K-12 revision work, focusing on alignment. So sort of following the format that Shrell had, we're going to take a look at some revisions of things you're probably more familiar with, look at some of the new additions in a little more depth for you. So here, for the first of the revisions, I wanted to highlight the revised narratives. We know teachers are busy. We've heard this really loud that some of our narratives have a lot of words in them. I remember writing some of those, and we were definitely very excited to share a lot of the things and conversations we've been having. But in an effort to reduce some of that reading time for the busy folks out there, narratives from unit to lesson to the activity level have all been revised, not just to reflect content changes, but also revisions for the sake of brevity. You're also going to see some context and activity revisions that focus on how can we invite more students into the mathematics of this activity, of this lesson. For the assessment guidance, you're going to see the cool downs, which have had assessment guidance that was added, I want to say in either 2020 or 2021. We've gone through them all to just align them in phrasing and formatting. And these guidance notes, for those of you who may not be familiar with them, are intended to support teachers by highlighting which cooldowns have content students are going to need more chances on, which cooldowns have content that if students show signs of struggling, a teacher can take a moment in a future activity or lesson to do some just-in-time learning, and which cooldowns have content that are a sign that a teacher may need to press pause and give students a little more time to make sense of a key idea. And then lastly, one of the other revisions you'll see is we've done some updates to the renamed Building on Student Thinking with suggested questions for teachers to use to help them gain insight to how a student's currently thinking about an idea in the activity before offering that gentle nudge to encourage a student to take a next step. Now for the new features. And just because I'm seeing a few questions in the chat, we will be talking about high school just a little bit later, but everything I'm saying right now with respect to 6.8 updates will apply to 9.12 as well. So anytime I say 6.8, you can just hear 6.12. So for new features, again, a lot of these are following the footsteps of the excuse me, updates that K5 made. Sections are going to have their own narratives now, goals and checkpoint assessment, which will have cooldown guidance. Section narratives are designed to give a broad overview of the mathematical content of the section. And the checkpoint assessments, I kind of think of them as section level cooldowns. These items have the same assessment guidance and formatting as the lesson cooldowns, and they're intended to help teachers plan further instruction based on the results. Now, these latter three items, the building math community, math language routines, and teacher reflection questions, we're going to dig into these in a little more depth. So let's start with building a classroom community. Secondary students arrive in math class with experience and beliefs about what a math classroom looks like and what it's going to sound like. Given the nature of math classrooms, these students come with differing math identities. Some students see themselves as doers of mathematics, others do not. Community building is an opportunity for teachers to establish how their classroom is going to flourish that year. And to support teachers in building a math community, each course has 8 main exercises embedded into the first 1 to 2 units of the year. There we go. Thanks, April. For the main 8 exercises, the lesson narrative, which is that first box at the top here, includes a description of the community building work embedded in the lesson, and then with more details about the specifics of what is going on, what is the focus of that particular exercise in the activity where the work happens. At the end of the 8 exercises, a classroom will have an established initial set of classroom norms for the year. And I want to emphasize that word, initial. For those of us who've been and seen a lot of classrooms come through, that class you have those first few days, those first few weeks, it evolves, it grows. Those students are maturing, they're developing their own identities, they're developing their math identity. You go ahead and click to the next slide, please, April. And so what we've done is after the first initial 8 exercises, we've embedded throughout the remaining units opportunities to re-engage with the norms, to revisit them, to consider which norms are really serving us as a class, which of them maybe need some revising or a little bit of tweaking, refining of language, and maybe what norms did we thought would be super important at the beginning of the year that ended up not being as critical, and they can fall off the list. Now, in addition to revisiting the norms, there's also in each unit going to be opportunities to have students reflect deeply on those norms. There's 2 types of reflection that you're going to see. One is a self-reflection piece on how both are strengths-based. One is a self-reflection piece, and one is reflecting on where they're seeing the norms in others. These reflections are about students identifying, wow, that other student leaned into fill in this classroom norm here, and that really benefited the group by this, or I chose to focus on this classroom norm today because whatever reason the student might have, maybe they want to work on listening, maybe they want to work on trying to speak up, and thinking about throughout the activity where that came into play. So the one you see on the screen, this is sort of the conclusion at the end during the activity synthesis. What had happened during the launch of this activity is students were prompted to choose a classroom norm to practice throughout the activity, to lean into. And then at the end, they're invited to share how they saw themselves and the group benefiting from that. And we also left space because sometimes a student will think they're going to lean into one and the activity comes and maybe they've changed their mind. That's great too. That's good self-reflective practice. And so that's the little second bullet of I picked this norm, but during the activity, I realized this other norm would be better. And here's why I think that. Now, for math language routines, K5 did the really awesome step, and I'm super jealous, I didn't think of it myself, of just embedding the math language routines into the curriculum for everyone to use. While we know the math language routines are particularly useful for multilingual learners, they're good for all learners of mathematical language, which is every student we have in our classrooms. But we also know that diving into the math language routines is going to be new for some teachers. So when a particular math language routine is first introduced, you're going to see some additional text there to support and to sort of guide that first-time implementation. Where embedded, those are pretty easy to spot. It'll be tagged on the activity. And also, as shown here in the activity narrative, you'll see that access for English language learners with a little descriptor of sort of the main goals and ideas of that routine. Need a little sip. Excuse me. Yes, MLRs are for everyone. Now for the rest of the routine, here you can see this is a launch from grade 7, unit 2. This launch is from an activity that has an embedded co-craft questions. And so there's a bunch of details right there on the grouping, on what you're displaying, on the ordering for inviting partners and having them craft their questions, revise their questions. And during the revision process, we tried to be thoughtful about where we did the embedded versus leaving them as callouts for teachers to opt into. And we also factored in, if we're embedding this math language routine, we made some adjustments on the timing of the lesson to make sure that there was space for it. All right, and the last piece that I get to share with you today is on the teacher reflection questions. For this particular edition, we thought about sort of some differences between K5 teachers and secondary teachers, and we're thinking that if you're in a situation, as I was for many years, where you've got 2, 3, 4 different preps, if you were faced with that many questions in a day, you might be inclined to maybe start skipping them because you can't give them your full attention. So what we've done is, instead of having what K5 does, is they've got a teacher reflection question for each lesson. 6-8 has gone and we've put a set of 3 questions, and I'll describe the 3 in just a moment, at the section level. So at the beginning of a section, a teacher, PLC, however someone decides to use these particular reflection questions, can read through them and maybe pick one that they want to focus on. Maybe they're excited, they're going to do all 3. Not necessarily gold stars, because please don't overwork yourself, but we're hoping that there's an option in there that's going to be enticing and interesting for someone to sort of dig a little bit deeper. The 3 questions are always 3 different themes. The first one being mathematical content and student thinking. These questions invite consideration of both the mathematics and the specific activities and how students reasoned about those activities. The pedagogy questions invite consideration about the instructional design, thoughtful planning, teaching, and assessing across the unit. And then access and equity questions invite teachers to reflect on which student voices are they hearing, to reflect on their beliefs about students, and reflect on specific parts of the curriculum that are intended to give access, such as the math language routines. We don't have a specific vision for how these are going to be used because every teaching situation is different. They may be used by individual teachers, they may be used by professional learning communities or by coaches or anyone supporting teachers. Groups may choose to select one type of question they're going to focus on over a unit, over a year, or maybe they'll jump around. These are all options that we hope people will look into, and we're really looking forward to hearing how you all are digging into these questions to reflect on your practice. So I'm going to hand it back to April.
Thank you, Ashley. And along with being able to use data and thinking of connections when you decide what teacher reflection questions you might decide to dive into, we were also really intentional in looking at data to ensure that the 6-8 curricula had some updates towards context. And so here you see an example of the same lesson, one on left from K-12 and one on our version 360, where we were intentional about thinking of who is visible within our curriculum and who else can we call in? How can we use the concepts of mirrors and windows to introduce our students to diverse ranges of cultures and experiences? And so not only will you see adaptations maybe to a food item or a context, but we also wanted to be really strategic about how do we engage in our updates of ensuring that all students have access to be invited into the learning. And so along with maybe some context changes, you will also see changes and supports given for educators on how they might consider launching an activity, how they might use certain prompt questions to invite more students in to make connections to their experiences and the mathematics that is being shared and learned during that session. We realize that for some communities, they might be introduced to new words or concepts that are new to them. And so you'll see things such as a pronunciation guide, just to ensure that those teachers feel that they have the support and the confidence to respectfully introduce maybe unfamiliar words or experiences for their students to dive into. The last big story, and Ashley kind of gave us a quick little intro. Some of you were already eagerly asking in the chat, is our big story 3. So hopefully let's just do a quick recap. Let's see how amazing you are. If in the chat, you could tell us what our first big story was. Let's see if somebody's going to win a prize. Sherelle will pick whoever's the top answer. I'm not looking at the chat because I know everybody's a winner. Everybody remembers that our first big story was that this is just an update, right? Our second big story was that the changes you'll see in 6 through 8 is to increase the alignment for PK5 and 6 through 8. And our third big story here is we know that you are eagerly waiting those updates in high school. You will see that our Algebra 1, our grade 8, integrated math 1 will come out at 24-25 school year, and that the remaining components of high school, such as geometry, algebra 2, and integrated math 2 and 3 will be released for the 25-26 school year. Again, we have this amazing website where you can sign up for any updates and be able to access any new changes. Everything we shared in this first portion, you're welcome to go there and find it in detail, as well as access sample units, so that way you can see those updates and revisions. All right, and I'm passing it back to Miss Brandy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so very amazing. April, Sherelle, Ashley, thank you so much for that informative presentation and all that you shared. And you all shared a lot with us. So you all haven't seen the Q&A, but there are over 100 questions in that Q&A. So we are going to be trying to go through some of those questions and answer them. In fact, our IM community members have been asking us questions on social media, at events, and we've been listening. So let's get into the Q&A portion of this webinar. Are y'all ready? Thumbs up in the chat. Can you all see my screen? All right. So the first question is there a reason why word problems appear so early in first grade? How can we support our emerging readers throughout first grade unit 2?
So yes, so story problems appear so early because they play an important role in deepening students' understanding of addition, subtraction, and the relationship between these operations. So the problems are going to invite students to make sense of the problem by like literally acting it out, right? So there's the act it out, and that routine previously was only in K. It has extended to first, so they'll act out the problems with objects, with drawings, their bodies. But this problematizing is essential to IM's problem-based instruction, and it allows students to discuss and compare different solution methods, all leading to a deeper understanding of the operations themselves. And we don't, everything's a reading test, right? If you're not a strong reader. And so especially in first grade and a little off script, I would say any grade, if you're giving a math test, then go ahead and read it, because we want to see the math that the student can do and not test their language. So although some of the students may read story problems independently and solve them before the end of the year in grade 1, it's not the expectation, especially not in unit 2. We encourage you all to read the problems to the students during the lesson activities and on assessments throughout the year. Reading might be a barrier to them assessing the mathematics. It's nice that this was difficult in the previous version. And so we have made updates to provide more explicit support for reading and facilitating discussions about story problems with students, especially at that early point in the year. And the number of word problems has been reduced so that as teachers are now, like for sure, everyone hopefully will be reading, that you can still get through and be able to work through the math and with your students.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherelle. We're going to go to another question. Will there be changes to the centers in K5? It's a hot topic.
I will stay unmuted here. So yes, there are changes. However, they are, if you have already printed your centers, we know centers are a pain point. There's a lot to get your centers up and going. And so if you have already printed your centers, please keep using those centers. So the changes are going to be, some of it's cosmetic, it's for clarity, it's clearing up some of the directions. But again, if those centers are printed, prepared in those Ziploc bags, your teachers already have them, please just keep using those. The skills, the math that students are practicing, it's not lost. And I don't want you doing all that work again.
All right, thank you, Sherelle. I'm taking notes over here. And I think you all covered this, but this has been a burning question. Will there be updates in high school?
Yes, we are working on them right now, actually. I mean, maybe not right at this moment, because I think most of my folks are on this call, but yes, we will be updating high school. As I mentioned earlier, those updates will be in line with the updates that I was describing for 6-8 in terms of the things that are being revised and the new additions. For some people, the big news is that we will be offering an integrated version of the IM 912 materials. The first year of high school, so that's integrated Math 1 and Algebra 1, are ready and to go out for the 24-25 school year. But this is specifically to support, as April said, the 6-8 schools that have an advanced course in the 8th grade year. So for instance, if you're teaching Algebra 1 in grade 8, if you're teaching Integrated 1 in grade 8, the rest of high school will be available for the 25-26 school year. And I think I also saw a question about Accelerated. Accelerated is also under works right now, and it too will be available for the 25-26 school year.
All right, perfect. So I just want to let the audience know that we are logging all of your questions because every question deserves an answer. And for the sake of time, and if your question is not answered during this webinar, we will have a moderator reach out to you via email to answer your specific questions. Also, we're going to be updating our FAQ section on our website. So we're going to keep moving this along. Thank you so much again, April, Sherelle, and Ashley. We are going to go into another section of the webinar, and several teams here at IM have been working behind the scenes on something amazing. And we have Lindy Olenichek, our K-5 curriculum specialist, here to give you a sneak peek. So just to let you all know, and I'm going to set the tone for what Lindy is about to share with you. We are unveiling IM's first ever in-house free curriculum site. So this is huge. So this site is hosted by IM, and it was designed so that educators, students, and families can have direct access to the free version of our problem-based math curriculum. So Lindy is here to give you a sneak peek of some of the new features. I'm going to let her take it away.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can get a little sneak peek at the website. So we're going to do a quick run through of navigation and features, and so you can get a preview. So this is the landing page. You're going to see 3 buttons to launch whichever grade band curriculum you're looking for. You'll also see a place where you can create a free account for full access. We're going to talk a little about that here in a little bit. Further down on the page, you'll see a link to learn more about our curriculum, as well as a link to learn more about our professional learning opportunities. So as far as logins go, if you currently have a login with Kendall Hunt, one of our curriculum partners, you will be able to use that login to log into this site. That will work for this site as well. If you don't, then you will go ahead and create a free account here for full access. You're still going to be able to launch the curriculum and use it, but there will be portions of it or parts of it that are only available with a account. So if you already have an account with Kendall Hunt, you can go ahead and just launch the curriculum, and you will see the sign in button there at the bottom. This is going to take you to the Kendall Hunt login page. You'll use your existing credentials, and then you'll be redirected back to this landing page. A few things to note on this page. First, over here on this right side, you're going to see a section where there will be a bunch of resources, no matter what page you are on. On the K-5 page, it starts with our centers. And so our centers are grouped by the domain. You can open and close each of those domains, and you can also sort those centers and filter them by grade or by multiple grades. And so then when you click into a center, it'll show you the directions for that center. Back at this landing page, you have some options here for how you want to view the resource. So you can view it from teacher, student, or family member. You can view it in either English or Spanish, and you can also toggle which standard set you want to use. Once you've made your choices, then you'll go into your grade. This will be a very familiar setup where you'll see all your units. You'll notice that this right side panel here has new resources like your course guide, the pacing guide and dependency diagram, and then a link back to those centers as well. You'll also see that you can see the student materials and family materials on this panel. Also want to point out up in the upper right-hand corner here, you can change the role right from this page. So it will change the look of the page and depending where you are, and it's also going to change the resources on the right side here. In order to navigate through it, you start in a unit, then once you get in there, you're going to see your narratives for both the unit and the section. And then you can click into a lesson to get your preparation and your lesson information. Notice that toggle changes from being available for students and families to just teachers at the lesson level. Middle school and high school function, navigate, operate very similarly to K-5. You'll be able to go into your grade band, see all your units, toggle your role, and see all your resources here on the right. So that is a very quick look at our new IM360 website. Stay tuned for updates from us. I'm going to stop share and I'm going to throw it back to Brandy.
Thank you so much, Lindy, for that show and tell. I'm going to share my screen. And just so everyone knows, this site is still under development. We are working out the kinks. We are going to package this up and put a nice bow on it and send out lots of email communications and do a lot of social to let you all know when this site is ready. So you want to make sure that you are signed up for those notifications. So be sure to follow us. So next up, I want to get into our IM certified partner. So we need to just start right now and give a special thanks to our exclusive partners, our exclusive providers of the certified IM version 360 math curriculum, who are our IM certified partners, Imagine Learning, Kendall Hunt, and Kidem. Imagine IM is IM version 360, is the IM version 360 program from IM certified partner Imagine Learning. As an IM certified partner for 4 years, they are excited to launch Imagine IM. They are a comprehensive solution with enhanced resources focused on engagement, accessibility, and usability. And we're going to drop some links to them in the chat so you can click on those. Next up, we have our IM certified partner, Kendall Hunt. They're also an IM certified partner and IM version 360 curriculum print provider. They will integrate this new curriculum into their selection of K-12 products and programs in the fall for 2024-2025 implementation. We're going to drop those links into the chat. And our newest IM certified partner is Kidem. IM version 360, powered by Kidem, unites groundbreaking technology with illustrative mathematics, high-quality curriculum. Kidem empowers educators to customize, implement, and measure the impact of IM version 360 on a simple yet powerful platform. And we are going to drop that link into the chat. And this webinar is part of IM Experience Presents webinar series. So the IM Experience connects educators to webinars, podcasts, conferences and events, case studies, and other engaging and interactive resources. We would like for you to follow our landing page as we expand upon these experiences and build our catalog of information and informative resources that you can use. And what you're looking at right here is just some of the wonderful collateral that we've created here at IM. If you have not visited our website in a while, then you are missing out on a ton of free resources. So you can go on our website and download our free ebooks. You can view our on-demand webinars, access our IM certified blog articles, get free teaching resources, or schedule a call with our knowledgeable partner and client support team who is answering some of your questions right now in the Q&A. Hot off the press, our 2023 annual report was published within the last 10 days. So please be sure to visit our website to download the report and see how impactful our 2023 was. And to make it easy, we're going to put those links in the chat just so you can save them for future use and so you can bookmark them. The staff at IM has been working so hard, and we want to shout out the entire organization for helping to launch the IM version 360 curriculum upgrade. We want to say thank you to our executive team, Bill, Kristen, and Chris. Thank you to our senior leadership team, which I am a part of. My colleagues on this team are Dylan, Gail, Latoya, and Liz. Both of these teams lead our organization to achieve its mission. And a special thank you to technical producer and marketing coordinator, Elizabeth Sneed. She's our marketing coordinator as well as my team. And also we have our partner and client support team, Ray, Patty, and Tamisha. They are helping to facilitate the Q&A and chat. Also, we want to give out a shout out to our editorial team led by Kelly and my team, the brand and communications department, Carrie, Neil, Raina, Elle, Kimmy. Thank you all for your hard work in making this event a reality. Also, we want to give a huge thank you to each person who joined this chat. So we've been looking at the number of participants. I just have to say, you all helped us reach over 1,000 participants today. So that means you gave up some time in your day, you use your lunch break, you might be in the car listening to us in your AirPods, but whatever the case may be, we just want to let you know, we thank you. We thank you for joining us on this webinar and every day as we work towards affirming all students as mathers and engaging them in rigorous grade level mathematics instruction. And finally, your feedback is so invaluable in helping us improve our future presentations. This is the end of the webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it. But before you go, please take a moment to complete our survey and share your thoughts on today's webinar. Your input is going to go into helping us tailor our content to better meet your needs. As a reminder, that survey will close on Friday, April 19th. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds right now. Hold your mobile device up to the screen right now. Look at that QR code. Click on that link and give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. So we appreciate your time and participation. It has just been an amazing time. I want to ask for all the IMers, if you're feeling up to it, come, show your faces, wave to our audience members, give them the good IM, hi, and bye. Until next time, everybody, take care, enjoy your day. We're signing off. Goodbye.